Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another weekend workshop. It's so great to have you joining us. My name is Carrie Ramsey, and I am what am I? I'm the project manager. Like, what is my role here today? I'm not only facilitating this workshop, I'm also the project manager for the We Can project, which is led by Queen's University and is funded by FedDev Ontario through the Women Entrepreneurship Strategy Ecosystem Fund. What a treat to have you all with us today. I know there are people connecting from around the world. It is so wonderful to have you as part of today's event. We're going to get to search engine optimization in just a moment with Kat, and Jules from her team is in the wings as well. I believe Augusta is also on the team and is going to be in the Zoom chat. But I just want to take a moment to have you really connect with each other in the Zoom chat at this moment. If you could take a moment to do that, let us know where you're connecting from geographically. If you could also let us know the name of your business, if you have one, if you have a website or a LinkedIn profile, we would love to connect with you and get to know you a little bit better. So take a moment to do that. While you're doing that, I'll just take a moment to say that I am connecting to today's workshop from the Bay of Quinte region, which is in Ontario, very close to Kingston, where Queen's University is located. And this is the traditional hunting, gathering, and fishing territory of the Huron, the Anishinaabe, and the Haudenosaunee peoples. And if you're joining us today, you know that today is Earth Day. So this is a very special day, a happy Earth Day to everyone. If you're connecting from sometime in the future on our YouTube channel, it's Earth Day. And one of the things that I like to think about really anytime that we're talking about nature and connecting to the earth is really that Indigenous teaching and philosophy that the earth does not belong to us, that we belong to the earth. And honestly, when I heard that from an Indigenous elder at one point, that really reframed my idea about sustainability and about our responsibility to the earth. So I hope that maybe that's a little thought that you'll carry with you throughout this Earth Day, that the earth does not belong to us, but we belong to the earth. And I think when we reframe that, we actually behave and think differently. So welcome everyone. If you're just joining us, it's great to have you on the Zoom call with us. And I'm just so thrilled to have Jules and Kat back from the Small Social Company. And they have presented to us before. And it's just such a great opportunity to have them with us today to talk about search engine optimization. They've talked to us about different topics actually in the past. And so today we are going to learn about a new topic, one that is very relevant as so many businesses have pivoted online and are now operating in a virtual space. So thank you for those who are taking a moment to let us know in the Zoom chat where you're connecting from. It's always great to know what your business is and just to take that opportunity to network as well as to learn today. So without further ado, Kat, I am going to give you the virtual floor. I am thrilled to have you back, and please do take it away.
Thank you, Carrie. So as she mentioned, my name is Kat or Catherine. I typically go by Kat, so feel free to call me whatever. And I'm with the Small Social Company. I'm the digital director of marketing, and Jules is also here as well. So she will be assisting me in the chat today, answering some questions. She'll let me know if you have any questions since I can't see the chat. And then if not, we'll save them for the end because there will be a Q&A portion of the presentation. So the Small Social Company, we're a digital marketing company. We're based out of Eastern Ontario. We're made up of a group of strong, amazing women who are all phenomenal at their roles, whether it's search engine optimization, social media marketing, digital advertising, websites, everything online. We can help you with your presence. So it's an amazing group of women that we work with, and we just love helping businesses grow online, and our motto is let's grow together. So we love seeing our clients shine online. So today I am here to talk to you about search engine optimization, which for most people can be very scary because it's just a lot of unknown, but I'm here to simplify it and make it so that everybody can understand it and have some takeaways of how you can implement changes to your website. So what we're going to go over today is the SEO 101, just a quick overview of what SEO really is, different tools you can set up, to get started tracking some data today, how to do your keyword research, some core web vitals, as well as website optimization and content writing, and then finally some tips and tricks and a little bit of tracking your data. So search engine optimization, also known as SEO, I will be using them interchangeably today, is just simply getting found online. So it actually stands for, it's actually the practice of increasing the quantity and quality of traffic to your website through organic search engine results. So simply put, it's how people find you online and how you are ranking when it comes to search engines. SEO is a marathon and not a sprint. So just because you make changes to your website today does not mean they will take to effect and you will instantly rank at top tomorrow. It does take time. It is an ongoing and constant effort that you have to put forward on your website. So search engine optimization is the organic portion of Google and your rankings. So when you go to Google and you type in any search word or whatever you are looking for online, the first thing you're going to see up here is Google Ads. So they'll have the ad bolded beside it. And then you're going to see Google Maps, and they call this the map pack. So these are the first listings that will appear in Google Maps. Which again, this is through your Google My Business, and we want you to take consideration and making sure you have a Google My Business listing. Your content is all up to date, your phone number, your address, all of your business information, all of your services and offering are up to date. And we also want you to make sure you're adding in images, as well as acquiring reviews, because reviews is very important. As you can see, the top listings here do have several 5-star reviews. So although we're talking about search engine optimization today, I just wanted to touch on your Google My Business because it is really important. So below ads and Google My Business, you will then see organic search listings. So this is on page 1 of Google, and this is your ultimate goal, is to be ranking in one of the top positions for the search intent that people are looking for. So SEO 101. So search engine optimization is the process of optimizing your online content so that search engines like to show it as a top result for searchers of a specific keyword. So just because your business might be a hair salon doesn't mean that you can't rank for multiple things. That's why your website is made up of multiple pages. So you want to try and rank for all the top keywords that are important to your business and that what people are going to be looking for online. When it comes to SEO, there's you, the business, the search engine, which is Google, and the searcher. I'll be referring to search engine as Google for the majority of the presentation. There are multiple search engines out there. However, most of the ranking factors are dictated by Google, and every other search engine follows suit. And majority of searches coming from search engine do come from Google. So it is the most important one to think of and consider. However, when you're optimizing your website for Google, you're optimizing for all search engines as well. So if you have a website or a blog on traveling to Kingston and you want to rank for keywords such as traveling to Kingston, and you want everybody searching for this term to go to your website. So that is how SEO comes into play, is how you want to rank and how you want to appear on search engines for specific keywords for the consumers, as well as taking into consideration Google. SEO is the magic that you have to work on your site to make sure Google is likely to include your post or your website as one of the top results when someone is searching for that keyword. So overall, all you're trying to do is connect the users online with your content so that your website is the one they're coming to for the information. So do I need to think about my website and consider SEO? The short answer is yes. Ideally, you take SEO into consideration before you launch your website. However, it's never too late to look into what you can improve and how more people can find you online. So it's never too late to start, but it is very beneficial to consider your SEO before you build a website. Now, most of you probably already have your website live, so we're in the second column. So another reason that SEO is super important is because it actually keeps the search results fair. Because Google's algorithm is the one dictating who is ranking and why, it will reduce the ability for people to manipulate the results as much as possible, so that sites that are appearing on Google are actually there because they deserve to be there. And it's actually what people are looking for online. Hard work and a website that appears to visitors correlate with high search engine rankings. So if your site meets all the criteria that we're going to go over today, then you actually have a better chance of showing up in the results. Prior to all of this, kind of when the internet blew up and search engines, and then people realize that I can manipulate the search results so that my website's number one. This is when SEO started to be considered, and there used to be two buckets. It was white hat SEO and black hat SEO. So white hat SEO is when you're doing everything properly and you're following all of Google's algorithms. Black hat SEO is when you're trying to manipulate the search results. So before Google started putting a precedence on their algorithm, you were actually able to manipulate everything. So if we think about this slide, for example, all of this white space here, I could technically have put in the keyword marketing agency in Kingston, Ontario 1,000 times in all the white space, and I would just put it in a white font because I want to rank for that. The more times it's on my website, the better chance I have of ranking. Well, that's how it used to work. And then people would manipulate the search results, but it wasn't necessarily the best page for that search intent. So that's when Google said, we can't allow people to be doing these manipulative things. We have to make it so that we tell them what they need to be ranking for. So then they switched it and they said anybody doing things like that is considered black hat SEO, and you can actually get your website unlisted from Google, so it'll never appear. So I'm going to teach you how to do it properly and what's beneficial for your website so that we're not making any of those mistakes. I just have to move this because it's blocking my titles. Okay, so SEO ranking factors overview. So we're going to go into these in more detail in a future slide, but there are going to be many ranking factors that Google takes into account. Now, Google doesn't come out with a guide and say, this is how you rank your website, and this is how to do everything perfectly. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of ranking factors. However, there are many phenomenal people in the industry that put together guides that say, these are what actually we've noticed help people rank. And Google gives core algorithm updates typically every year. And within those algorithm updates, they say, hey, this is what matters most. You need to focus on this. So Google has essentially said high quality content really matters, and making sure your content is what people are looking for. So all of these factors taken into account. So the ranking factors we're going to go over in this presentation are high quality content, backlinks, search intent, website loading speed, mobile friendliness, domain authority, keyword optimization, website structure, website security, and user experience. Now, it seems like a long list. It is. Remember, there's a million other things you can think about, but these are the main ones that'll help. And they all kind of complement each other as well. Now, when you're setting up your website for success, there are a few tools that you're going to want to utilize to make sure that you are tracking everything properly. Because if we don't have any data to back up what we're doing, then we're just guessing, and that's not beneficial either. So some of the tools that we recommend are Google Analytics, Search Console, keyword research, and this will all help you build a strong website. So Google Analytics is the first tool, and it's one of my absolute favorites. I'm probably in it every single day. It's a free tool to analyze your website traffic. So if you do not have Google Analytics installed on your website, and if you're not sure, just put it in the chat and we can check after the presentation to see if it's installed in your website and if it's installed correctly. But you can always go to analytics.google.com and see if you have an account. But essentially everybody needs an analytics account. And it's a free tool, so you don't have to pay for it. made by Google, and it helps you view your website traffic, your users, what pages people are visiting, and how they're going to interact with your website. So the different categories that Google Analytics gives you is real time. So essentially real time is, say you're doing a big launch and you want to see all the traffic to your website at this given time right now, then you can see who's on your website, where they're coming from, what pages they're on. So it's great to track those big launches and events. Then we have audience, which shows you your users, how many sessions, which is page views as well, or how many times they're interacting with your website, average session duration, bounce rate, everything like that. So it just kind of tells you your overall traffic. Acquisition is telling you where that traffic is coming from. So the different sources. So are they coming from social media? Are they coming organically from Google ads? If they're coming from a referral site, what site is that? Is it another site linking back to you? So you can see where people are coming from to find you online. And then behavior will show you what pages people are visiting and how they're interacting with your website. So you can see people are entering through the homepage, what pages they go to next, and then what page are they leaving the website? How much time are they spending on each page individually? What's your bounce rate of each page individually? So it gives you that snapshot of how people are interacting with every page. Then we have the conversion section. So this is a little bit more advanced. It needs a little extra work and setup and coding. However, if you have an e-commerce website or any sort of goals that you want to track, you need to make sure that your e-commerce section or your conversion section is set up specifically to track this, because it's giving you a free option to be able to track all your conversions. Now, it does need a little extra tagging and coding. But it is highly beneficial so that you know, okay, I'm sending 100 people to this page, but are they clicking my form? Are they filling this out? Are they purchasing this product? Are they adding it to cart, but they're not checking out? So just making sure that you have that extra setup. It's usually very crucial when you are an e-commerce website, especially. The next tool that Google gives you for free is Google Search Console. So this tool helps you monitor how Google views your website and how to optimize your organic presence. So it's another tool. It's a little more technical than analytics. So it tracks the performance of your website and it gives you valuable insights and issues that are occurring on your website. So the performance section will show you total clicks, impressions, and average position. Now, the difference between performance and Search Console versus analytics is this is showing you directly from Google. So it'll show you, okay, everybody's searching for hair salons in Kingston, Ontario. How many impressions, so how many times are people seeing your website appear on a Google listing, and how many times are they clicking on your website over all the other options, and what's your average position? So this is showing you directly from Google organically how many times your page or your keyword is being shown and clicked. Another important tool is the URL inspection. It gives you the ability to analyze a specific URL. So if you feel like a certain page isn't ranking or Google hasn't indexed a very specific page, then you can put it in Search Console and it'll tell you if there's any errors or ask Google to re-index it. So it just helps you technically make sure that Google knows that page is there. And then your coverage actually will tell you how many pages are indexed. And your sitemap is how you submit. So coverage and sitemap are very beneficial to go together. Essentially, just because each and every one of you have a website does not mean that Google knows your website exists. You have to think there's millions, if not billions of websites out there. Google just doesn't know the second a new website goes live because there's probably thousands of new websites going live or being taken down every day. So when you go to Search Console, you can actually say, hey, Google, here's my website. Here's my sitemap. I want you to read it. I want you to view it and then index it. So you need to submit your sitemap to Google. And then your coverage, once you submit your sitemap, will show you, okay, of 100 pages, only 50 are being indexed by Google. These ones are not being shown. And it gives you that technical snapshot of what is happening with your website on Google. The next tool that you're going to need is for your keyword research. So if you were in the Google ad presentation, you'll remember this section of keyword research, which is very vital because your keywords are what you're going to use as the base of all of the updates on your website to ensure that you are ranking for what people are looking for. So the first thing I always suggest is to sit down and think and make a list of keywords that you think people would type into Google before you even begin researching and looking. So if I have a marketing company, what keywords are people looking for? And think about each page differently. If I have a page on social media, I want people to come to that who are not looking for SEO. Or if you're a hair salon or just a salon in general, you have manicures, you have pedicures, you have facials, you have cosmetic treatments. So all of those are different buckets of keywords. So just thinking of all that, making a list, and then going to Google and typing them in and seeing what happens. The right keywords can get your website in front of the right consumers, and Google Ad Keyword Planner is here to help with that, which we'll go to in the next slide. Another thing to think of is if you are a localized business, making sure that you're adding location-based keywords as well. Just because if I typed in hotel, well, that's going to send me to hotels.com and all of these generic websites about traveling and hotels. It's not going to tell me about hotels in Kingston, Ontario. So making sure that you're considering localizing your keywords as well. So when you decide you have your keyword list, you're pretty confident based on what people are searching for, you can actually go to AdWords, which is Google's way to advertise on Google. You can create an account for free just to explore the keywords. So you could discover new keywords and get search volumes and forecasts. Now, this is meant for Google Ads, but it also works great organically as well. So when you create an account, as you can see here, you have the ability to discover new keywords or get search volumes and forecasts. So when you discover new keywords, you're going to implement your keyword list. And you're going to take your entire list of keywords, put it in, and then set your geographical area. And then from there, you're going to get an entire list of keywords, and it'll show you, hey, maybe some of your keywords on your list are getting no traffic. Well, but this variation of it is better. So just because you think a keyword is being searched doesn't mean it necessarily is. This tool will tell you which ones are the most popular and the most beneficial. If you're 100% uncertain about what keywords to even start with, you can actually even just put your website URL in and your demographic area, and then Google will tell you, hey, based on your website, we're seeing these keywords are working well. So you can go either way. I say do both, and you'll get the best snapshot of what people are looking for. So once you have your keyword list, we're going to go back to those ranking factors to see how we can implement them on our website and why we need to consider our keywords and ranking factors when we start doing our content optimizations. Because we take our keyword list, we implement them into our website, but if we don't take into consideration in between the ranking factors, then all that content optimizations we're doing may not be beneficial. And I understand it can be very confusing. There's a lot to consider when it comes to SEO, but by the end of this, you'll have a clear picture on everything we're talking about. So like I mentioned earlier, the SEO ranking factors are super crucial. There's a ton of them, and these are the top ones that you can focus on and fix on your website. So number one is always going to be high quality content. Then we have backlinks, search intent, website loading speed, mobile friendliness, domain authority, keyword optimization, website structure, and website security and user experience. And those aren't in any particular order. I just pointed out high quality content because you will see when we get into content optimization how important it really is. So high quality content, Google always prefers your content to be original, unique, and valuable. So it will always give priority to content that is new and unique. And it wants, Google, at the end of the day, all they want is to provide the most relevant and exactly what the searchers are looking for based on the websites and the content that's online. So you always need to think about that. As much as we need high quality content, you need to be able to serve Google intent as well as user intent. So it's always going to be a priority to new and unique content, and you need to be able to provide answers to the questions users are searching for, and you need to create value and do not duplicate content. So if you see another page online ranking, don't just copy it verbatim. You need to make it unique and valuable. You need to answer all the questions people are looking for. If I go to your website and I'm looking for services and I'm only getting half the information, not even necessarily including pricing, but if I'm not getting everything that you offer, well, then it's not valuable to me. And I can go somewhere else and find that information. So again, original quality content is what people are looking for. A good example of this too is how many of you search up a recipe online and you have to read a novel before you get to the recipe? Well, this is because content length and unique, valuable content matter. So keeping that in mind. So up-to-date and fresh content. So to boost the quality of your content, you need to keep it fresh and updated. So if you have a page from last year that is outranking everything, we'll update it, refresh it, and Google will see that again and they'll say, hey, this page has been doing phenomenal, and they've even refreshed the content. Let's keep it at the top. It always will send positive signals to Google. Content length is also a major ranking factor. So the average post or page that has been ranking on page 1 of Google recently has been about 1890 words. We typically say about 2000 just because it's rounded up and it's easier. But like the takeaway from this is that you can't just have a page with minimal content. It has to be informative, but also keeping in mind of content structure. So you need to have a strong organized structure of your content. You have to make it so people can easily read your posts. So you use multiple subheadings, bullet lists, images. People consume content visually. If your page does not have visual components, videos or infographics, images, whatever it might be, they're just going to scroll quickly. They're going to see 2,000 words and they're going to be like, nope, I'm going to go somewhere else that visually is appealing as well. So just because you have 2,000 words, don't make it an essay. Break it up with pictures or videos, whatever you can add. Add bullet lists. That'll attract people. Making sure you're adding headings throughout your content, because we are all visual consumers. We're addicted to data and technology, and nobody is going to scroll through 2,000 words with nothing else breaking up the content, no titles, nothing. It's just how human interaction is with content. The next ranking factor is backlinks. So you can think of a backlink or as an inbound link. And those are links coming from other websites that give authority to your content. It's kind of just telling Google, hey, all these other sites are telling me to go to this website. That's great. I'm giving it an extra vote. So you want to get backlinks from high authority websites. So anything that's .gov, .org, .edu is automatically a priority or a high quality backlink website than .com.ca. Those are beneficial as well, but they want it to be from an important website that is providing consumers with the content that they want to consume. So if we look, for example, if downtown Kingston, I know they have a bunch of listings. Maybe your business can be ranked there, or Chamber of Commerce. There's so many different places that can talk about your business and link over, because it's quality over quantity. So you can go on a million websites and just put in the forum, hey, this is my website, visit me here. You can get a backlink, but it's not going to give you as much authority with those backlinks as, say, Queen's University or a government website linking back to you. Another way to create backlinks, because we can't all get links from high authority websites, is creating infographics and sharing them. People love to share this type of content and link back to you. You can also take part in interviews or appear on podcasts, because typically when you appear on these, they're sharing your content and they're pushing back to your website. They're talking about you. So just take part in some interviews or appear on podcasts. You can also write articles, because that is shareable content that will link back to your website. And again, listing your site on resources pages. So whether it's Chamber of Commerce or sites like that as well. Next is search intent. So another thing that's important to think of is matching the search intent of your content. So search intent is what people are looking for. It's those keywords online. And every keyword is different, and you need to research the intent behind each search query. So again, doing that keyword research we talked about and matching your content to the search intent. So some content will be displayed as videos or pictures or rich snippets, and you want to make sure you can rank for all options because there's Google videos, there's Google images, rich snippets are all those question answer boxes at the top of Google, and then your website as well. So Google users will be looking for how-to content, articles, blogs, products, as well as just your basic content information. So making sure you have the ability to rank for each search intent. Website loading speed, this is something to consider. So like I said, Google has its algorithm updates. They usually do major ones. I think the last major one was 2019, May 2021, there's going to be a very large update. And we're focusing this one as it's called Google's Core Web Vitals, which we'll touch on future, but part of that ranking factor is website loading speed. So you need to pay attention to the load time of your website. I put a link here, which helps you check out each page individually for your page speed. It's also, if you just type in page speed insights into Google, you can find it. And this will give you a score out of 100 on both desktop and mobile to see how your website loads. You want to make sure your website loads quickly. And there are things you can do to make it load quicker. This will provide the greatest user experience. Remember, if it takes too long, people are going to go somewhere else for the information. I think they say if it doesn't even look like it's going to load in the first 3 seconds, people are going back to Google and they're going to go somewhere else. People like to consume content quick, and if it's not quick, they're not going to wait. So just making sure your loading factors on your website are good. And when you do put your website through page speed insights, it will tell you if it's ranking good or not and what to fix specifically, because each website might have different loading issues. Mobile friendly. So in 2019, Google said mobile friendly websites are the most important thing to consider. Mobile first. Google used to index the desktop version of the website prior to mobile. Now they index the mobile version first. So you want to make sure your content is viewable on a mobile device and it works the same way you would want it to work on a desktop. You might have to make a couple adjustments. Mobile responsive is the type of terminology that a lot of people use. It just means that we're not having a separate mobile website as we are desktop. It just means that your website fits every device specifically, which would be responsive. And you want to make sure it's user friendly. I guarantee you, if you went into your Google Analytics traffic, or if you set it up now and look, I would say over 80% of your traffic is probably coming from a mobile device. We see this happening a lot. I find it very rare to see below 80% coming from anywhere. Like usually most of our clients are 90% of their mobile or of their traffic is coming from mobile devices. So it's something to consider, because if I am a golf club and I want to be able to book a tee time online and it doesn't work the same as it does on a computer, then I'm going to be annoyed and I might book somewhere else. So making sure your website works great, iPhone, Android, everything. Domain authority. So your domain authority, you actually get a score between 1 and 100. The higher the domain authority, the better. So you can build your domain authority through high quality backlinks, like we talked about earlier, and how many unique links point to your website, as well as how long your website has been online. That slowly just builds over time. So this one isn't necessarily one that you can just fix right away, but it is something to consider and look at your ranking. Keyword optimization. So again, focusing back on keywords, we need to make sure your website has the right keywords on every single page. Keywords are what people are searching for online, and you need to make sure they're within your content. And it's not just within your content. There's many ways to work a keyword into your website and each page specifically. So there's your title tags or meta titles, your meta descriptions, your image alt tags. We need to avoid keyword stuffing, which I told you earlier was black hat SEO. We need to include keywords in your H2s to H4s, as well as your H1, which is all your different headers throughout your page. Ideally, we add a keyword into your URL and optimizing your content. So making sure that all of your content has the right wording. And then overall, your website structure or your architecture is important for crawling and indexing your website. So like I said earlier, if you have a sitemap, make sure you submit it to Google, making sure your TXT files are optimized. So a TXT is a file. It's the way website crawlers will crawl your website and see what's allowed to be searched. This is typically done through your website structure, so you don't have to worry about it. But if like robot.txt files can't crawl your website, then there's something blocking them, which means, hey, like they're not going to be able to rank you if they're told they can't crawl your website. So just Google Search Console will tell you if there's an issue there. And then again, making sure your structure is user friendly for searchers as well as Google when they crawl your website. Website security, this is a ranking factor. Google has been pushing this for a long time. In the last year, they now put major warnings on websites. If you do not have HTTPS at the beginning of your URL and it's just HTTP, that means your website is not secure, which tells people not to trust it, in the sense of don't fill out any forms, don't give your credit card information because it is hackable, and it's just going to not give as much authority or trust to your website. And it's also telling people, hey, don't trust this website, don't give your personal information. And people get scared online because so many consumers are scared of being hacked or taken advantage of. So if someone's told a website isn't safe, they're not going to fill out your form, they're not going to purchase your products. So purchase an SSL certificate immediately. You can do this through GoDaddy or your domain or your website provider. If your website is with someone, contact them immediately and get this on your website. It's something that you can get done in 5 minutes, and it is beneficial for your website. And then we have user experience. So again, we're not only optimizing your website for Google and the bots and all of their factors, you're also ranking and optimizing your website for every single person who's coming to visit your website. There are many ranking factors that contribute to a positive experience, and this includes your overall layout, the content, how people flow through your website. You want to look at everything. You want to go to your website and say, okay, I'm consumer. I want them to go to my homepage, and then I want them to click through to my services, and then I want them to book, and then I want them to do this and that. Does your website allow for that? Do you have links through your content that flow that way, that tell people, hey, you should be consuming my content this way? If not, then don't think that people are going to do that. You need to tell people to do that. So another thing you can look at to see your user experience is your click-through rate, which again is in Search Console. So it's a percentage of your users that click on your website from search results. So you'll see your impressions, which are your views, and your clicks. And then this click-through rate is the percentage of people clicking through. Your bounce rate, which we talked about, is part of Google Analytics. So you don't want to have a high bounce rate. Google will give you a percentage. The higher the number, this means that people click a link to your website, so they're going to a specific page, and then they hit the back button immediately, or they hit the back button within a certain amount of time. This contributes to your bounce rate. So it's essentially telling you that someone went to that page, didn't see anything they were looking for right away, and left. So if that's the issue, why? Why are people not consuming your content? Why are they not staying? And then time on site is another ranking factor or thing to consider with your user experience. So it's how long people are staying on your website, how long they're consuming each piece of content or each page specifically. Obviously, the longer, the better. Something to consider is each page, each blog. If you have 2,000 words, how long should it take someone to spend on that page? If they're only spending 30 seconds, then they're clearly not reading anything. Maybe you add a video. Maybe they don't want to read the content, but they would rather consume it as a video. That'll help increase your page on time or your time on page. as I mentioned earlier, Core Web Vitals is something that Google is taking major consideration towards. In 2021, they said it's coming out in May, which is right around the corner. Google is continuously going to put the user experience first, and it's always going to be the most important indexing factor for them, because Google wants consumers to find the most relevant and valuable content based on what they're looking for. So they're always going to figure out how they can do that. And Google's always going to update their algorithm to try and meet those expectations. So the EAT acronym is something that you need to consider with this. And you want to be the expert on this topic. So you want to be the expert in your field, the expert on a topic, and Google wants to know that you're the expert, but they also want to know the authoritativeness of your website or your page. So when your website is being linked to, you are now an authority on that topic. And they also look at domain authority. So you may say, hey, I'm an expert on social media marketing and social media management. Here's all my content. I'm telling you I'm an expert, but I don't have any authority. So if now you have a bunch of businesses saying, these guys are the gurus, they're amazing, go talk to them about social media marketing, you're now created that as that authority. And then they also want to know trustworthiness. So is your website or brand trustworthy? Can someone easily contact you? Do you have a physical location, terms of service, privacy policy, etc.? So what we're seeing now online is a lot of websites pop up that are very generic and concerning. So for example, I'm seeing them in the lawyer industry where I'm typing in and I'm looking for a lawyer in my service area. And the first few listings are typically ads, but they're just a landing page saying, you need a lawyer in city. And they have a million versions of these in every city in Ontario. And they just take your information. They don't tell you where they're located. There's no physical address. There's no phone number. There's no terms of service, no privacy policy. All it is an aggregate website to get your information. And then they're going to be like, hey, lawyer one, I found a client for you. You pay me. And then, the client will pay you and then you pay the lawyer, and they're making money in between. They're just a collector of information. So we're seeing that happen a lot online, but they're not trustworthy websites. So they're starting to not rank as high. So when you're thinking about your trustworthiness, are you a human? Can people see the team on your website? Can they call you? Can they contact you? Do you have that real information that sets you apart from these kind of fake businesses online? So to see your core website vitals, you actually will do this in Search Console. Like I said, it's coming in May to be very important to measure your user experience. It's also focusing on technical factors as well. So one thing that Core Website Vitals will be looking at is your loading of your website, interactivity, and your visual stability. So as you can see here on this report example, you can see if you have any poor pages, any pages that need improvement, or URLs, you can click through to each of them separately and get more information and open your report. As you can see for this one, the mobile website's great, but there's definitely issues on the desktop version. So you need to fix those based on what it's telling you. A major thing to consider for your core website vitals is your website HTTPS secure? Is it mobile friendly? Is it safe browsing? So when you go into Search Console, it'll give you all of this data for your website. One of the main things you're probably going to see when it's giving you options to optimize your website is the largest contentful pane, which is the LCP. So this is the time from clicking on a link to seeing the majority of your content load on screen. So this is kind of comes into account with your page speed ranking and how people are going to interact with your page. So once it actually scans your website, it's going to tell you what you can improve on and how to fix this and your load time. So if your load time is like 12 seconds, nobody's going to interact with your content. That's way too long. There'll be things that you can't fix that come down to the coding of your website, and there'll be things you can fix. Something easily that everybody can fix is condensing high res images. So there's websites like tiny PNG and tiny URL, where it takes a high res image and it just condenses the file size without ruining the quality of the image so that it takes less time to load. A lot of the times we see this is that people are just uploading the largest images from a photographer and it just takes way too long to load. So thinking about different things like that, and Search Console will give you this information. All right, so the most exciting part is taking all of this technical information and optimizing your website and actually making the changes to your pages and to your content. Remembering content is king. This is how people are going to find you. This is how you're going to rank online. So a page optimization, the biggest things you can change on your website is always going to be your content, and you're going to want to optimize every single page on your website. And you're going to make these changes based on education, like not just an educated guess. You're going to take your information of everything we just considered, and then we're going to make these changes on your website. So all that keyword research, you're going to assign keywords to pages and begin the optimization process. So I actually have a little spreadsheet here, and I have another version in a few slides ahead. So what I recommend doing is getting a spreadsheet, or however works best for you for organizing your content, taking every single page on your website and putting it down the spreadsheet, all the URLs, and then saying, I want my homepage to rank for this keyword, and giving each keyword or each page its own keyword to rank for. And then I always recommend having 2 other supporting keywords to rank for. So you don't want our services page to rank for social media marketing, search engine optimization, website building. You want each of those pages to be their own, because you can have search engine marketing, search engine optimization, and how to rank online as 3 keywords that support and correlate together for one page. So I always recommend creating a spreadsheet and then figuring out where you're going to implement these keywords into your content. And I'll go through the meta titles and descriptions with you. So once you've said, hey, I have these 3 keywords per page that I want to start implementing, you can optimize for all of these factors. So you have your title tags, your meta descriptions, your headlines, which are H1s, your headers, which are your H2s to H4s, all of your content, your images, your alt tags, and your internal linking. So your title tags and meta descriptions are actually what appears directly on Google. So you can see here's 2 options. The second option, I can tell they've optimized it for Google, because as you can see on this one right here, there's 3 dots, which means their title is too long and it's cutting off. As well as their description is just pulling content from their website. Whereas this one said, hey, people are looking for the best things to do in Kingston, Ontario. There are awesome things. They notice that best, awesome, but it's always with things to do in Kingston. So they said, hey, let's put it in our meta title and let's put it in our description. And when you're thinking of your meta title, be fun, be engaging. Think what would make you click from Google on a title versus other pages that are ranking right now. People typically show numbers in their title tags because they do have a higher click-through rate. Because if you're showing someone 5 ways to optimize your website now versus SEO optimization, people are going to click on 5 ways to optimize your website now. So those are your title tags or meta tags and meta descriptions. Next, you have your H1, which is your headline. So you always want to make sure your H1 is optimized with a keyword or exactly what that page is about, and making sure you only have 1 H1 per page. So it's your main title at the top of your website, or each page individually. Next, you have H2s and content. So your H2 to H4, you're going to have smaller titles throughout your content. And then you're going to have all of your content on your page, as well as your images. Save your file name of your image with your keywords. And each website has the ability to add alt tags to images, which are essentially, you want to add your keywords, but it's so that Google can rank you as a visual search in Google Images as well. So just making sure that everything is optimized. Your content is optimized for what consumers would really read, but it also has your keywords worked into it. Now, just make sure, again, you're not stuffing every single keyword into your content, because then you're overdoing it. And that's not what people want to read. They want to read genuine, valuable content that reflects those keywords without overdoing it. So like I said earlier, I have a different version of the checklist. This one is more so just checking through that all your keywords are in the right spots. As you get going, it's going to take a little more time to make sure that your content's being optimized properly. Now, the reason I say 3 keywords per page is because I don't want to see an H1 and an H2 and everything to have the same keyword in it. It's not going to make sense, and it's not going to make sense for the consumers to digest your content. So if your H1 is membership rates at a golf course, and the next one is corporate packages or green fees or tea times or something like that, then you're giving them the same type of content with different ways to consume that information. And then if you can have your URL have keywords in it as well. So this would be for interior pages specifically, because then you can have, like, instead of our services, you can have social media marketing or hair care products, different things like that working in keywords, rather than just having generic titles that come with your website. And then internal linkings pointing to pages. So when I go to a page, if you want someone to go to a different page after, do you have a link in there saying, hey, click here to book your appointment, or click here to book your tea time? If not, then you're not telling people where to go next. So you always need to consider that. Again, content optimization is the biggest thing to consider. So high quality content, making sure it's consumable, focusing on keywords, but not too much. If you overuse keywords, then it's not going to be organic, and it's not going to be user-friendly, and it's not going to be what people want to read. So like I said, 2,000 words per post or per page is ideal for ranking. Location-specific phrases. So if you're a local business, you need to try working in localized keywords to help with your ranking, because if I just type in hair salon, well, I could be anywhere. We need to localize those keywords. Link optimization, so giving people the direct path through your website, building those internal links. And you always need to think like a consumer. I know we can all be biased towards our own business, and we have a hard time seeing past that, but you need to think like a consumer. We, even as the Small Social, we're rebuilding our website. We take part in sessions and let people pick apart our entire website as consumers and say, I wouldn't consume this. I don't like this. This is amazing. So we're in the process of rebuilding our entire website, and nothing is being touched on this website until we figure out full optimizations, what people want to see, and we build it from there. So we take our time as well and think what people want when we're building a website. So this is actually one full page on a website I pulled as an example. You can see it's quite a long page, but it's full of different types of information and different styles of content people are going to consume. So under all these frequently asked questions, more content drops down so that they're getting the, say, 2,000 words across, but it's not in a way where you just see an essay on a page and you're like, oh my God, that's way too much. I'm not reading that. So they have their H1 supported by an image. There's more content here. They're saying, hey, we're trusted by all these companies. You might recognize a logo and you're like, okay, that's amazing. Monday.com likes this company. I'm going to start reading more. You'll read the next title here, the next one here. You might say, hey, I'm going to watch a video. Don't feel like watching a video. I'd rather read it. There's more content in another consumable way. So you're, again, not just putting content in essay style, you're breaking it up into different buckets. Again, here, you're giving a different way to view your content. So all of these different ways are visual components that are going to catch people's eyes, and then they're going to actually look at the titles and see if this is what they're wanting to consume. If I compared this to just straight 2,000 words on a page, I can guarantee you every single one of you would spend more time on this page than just straight 2,000 words. So always taking into consideration the length of your page, of your content, but also how visually appealing is it? That matters to people. So some tips and tricks. research, research, research. I can't say it enough. You need to make sure you know exactly what people are looking for online. We can all make assumptions, but until we actually look through Search Console and through Google Analytics and through keyword research, we don't know exactly what people are looking online. Content isn't just words on a page. You can use images, infographics, videos, whatever it might be. You need to break up your content. Optimizing for mobile. If your website does not function on a mobile device, then you probably shouldn't even have a website at all, because majority of your traffic will be coming from mobile. It will be rare if they're not, but just keep that in mind. Thinking about consumers first when you're working on your website. So taking off your business owner hat and putting on your consumer hat and saying, how would I want someone to go through my website and how are they going to interact? You need to create great content and then optimize it. So you can start by writing a blog or writing a page and then going back and optimizing it for those keywords so that your content is natural to the way you're speaking. And then you go back and add those keywords into the sentences that make sense. If you say, hey, you said 3 keywords on a page, but I have 6 keywords that I want to focus on, well, you can do a blog post supporting that page and linking to it for additional keywords to rank for. Or you can have a secondary page on your website talking about those services to support that main page of content. Again, focusing on user experience and page load times, making sure everything loads quickly and efficiently. Voice search is becoming more and more popular. Everybody has an Alexa or a Hey Google in their house. So making sure that when people are searching for those things, your content is consumable. If they're looking for a phone number, address, whatever it might be. Get social. Social media is the best place to organically as well just share your content. You can link back to your website on Facebook. You can have links in Instagram. You can tell people, hey, these are our services. Go to our website to learn more. Or here's a free giveaway. Go to our website to sign up. You're giving people all of this information. Share it with them on social media. Making sure your website is secure and having that SSL cert on your website and utilizing video or images, whatever it might be. And then once we've done everything, you probably want to know, how is it going? How can I track this data? Well, we're going to go back to those free tools, and then you can change the date range, and you can look at different date ranges, and you can actually compare date ranges. So it tells you if you're going up or down. So for example, I can see, okay, in the last week, I've had 2,400 website visitors, 2,000 of them are new. That's amazing. I'm reaching new people. Of those 2,400 users, they viewed collectively 12,000 pages. That's amazing. Everybody on average is spending about 2.5 minutes on my website. Does that make sense for your website? Yes or no? They're typically going to 4 pages. I'm happy with that. I want them to go to the homepage. I want them to check my services, purchase a product, check out. Great. Bounce rates below 50%. I'm happy with that because I know some people are having a bounce rate's inevitable. You ideally want to keep it below 50%. So going to analytics and tracking this data is going to be super important. Another thing to look at within analytics is, again, acquisition, like I mentioned earlier. So how are people visiting my website? So you can see your top channels up here or in the list here. So I'm seeing that majority of people are coming from organic search, 52% to be exact. That is phenomenal. That means people are organically finding me on Google. If this number is lower, let's work to optimize our website to get it up, and let's track and then start comparing date ranges and seeing, okay, in 2021, how many people organically found me compared to the same time frame in 2020? Is it increasing? Is it decreasing? If it's decreasing, I clearly have changes to do on my website. You can also see if people are coming to your website from social and what social media channels they're coming from. Of my email campaigns, how many people are clicking on my products to my website? Directly just means they're directly typing your domain into Google, and then display would be running some display ads. Again, going back to Search Console and seeing, okay, from Google directly, how many clicks am I getting to my website? And this is in the last 28 days. So 5,500 out of 120,000 impressions, which means my click-through rate is 4.6%. So of my pages, then I can see, okay, directly on Google, my page has been getting 1,200 clicks with 18,000 impressions. Is that good for that page or not? And then you can also switch to queries and different things like that to see specific keywords. So always going back and making sure your data is relevant to the changes you're making. And as I mentioned, I think in the second slide, SEO is a marathon, not a sprint. So if everybody goes and makes changes this month, don't expect to see them right away. It's going to take time to build. And if you're going to do a big revamp to your website based on all of this information, then come to Search Console and resubmit your sitemap when everything's done. Because now you're telling Google, hey, I know you're going to find my sitemap in a few months, but I want you to look at it now because I made a bunch of changes to my website and I want you to index this version of my website, and that'll help speed along the process as well. So making sure that just because you're making all these changes and you think you're doing the right thing, we always need to review our data. And now I just want to open up the floor to some questions.
So for questions, Jules, I don't know if there's any that you had on tap. You probably had been collecting a couple for Kat.
Yes, I do actually. Sorry, I'm trying to type. At one point, there were so many questions. I felt like I was an AI chat bot trying to respond to everyone. Thank you so much, Kat. Your presentation abilities are phenomenal and very, very valuable information that you shared with us. There were a couple that I would rather Kat answer because she's much more clear when answering SEO and she's more experienced than I am in SEO. So Christina had asked, how do you find the main authority number?
For your domain authority, so you can actually use a free tool with Moz, and you can get a Chrome plugin actually, and then you go to your website, you click turn on the plugin, and it'll give you your score of 100. Now that's just for general domain authority, so that would probably be the best free tool to use for that. So using the Moz domain authority tool.
Okay, thank you. And then Amanda was asking, Amanda Hammond actually from Hammond.
Hi, Amanda.
Yeah, she was, I think she's giving us a trick question. She asked, how do you set up voice search?
So this is something that it's going to be tricky because voice search, people don't give the full search queries. It's just something that you need to make sure your Google My Business listing and the information on your website is correct, because for most businesses, it's going to be, hey, is this restaurant open, or what is the phone number to Hammond Psychotherapy? And if that information is in your Google My Business listing or on your website, then Google Assistant or Alexa can find it. So just making sure that information is clear on your website. Now, in terms of what is psychotherapy, Google is typically probably going to pull like more of a Wikipedia answer. So it's more for that personal information.
But something like even psychotherapy services in Kingston, right? That's something that she would want to rank at. And I think overall, if your website optimization is hitting all the marks, it has fast page speeds, compressed images, search keywords, so psychotherapy services in Kingston, then you'll rank and you'll come up. So I also shared a link that I actually really like that talks about voice search. And you can check that out as well. Okay, and then for the SEO checklist, I shared our website earlier to just say if you sign up to our blog, subscribe to our newsletter, then we'll shoot you out. We have a 1 or 2 page free SEO checklist that you can go off of when updating your SEO.
So does anyone want to put in the chat? I have a question. Jules, are you through the ones that are on your sheet?
Yeah, I try.
Okay.
I think so. If you have any that I missed, then go for it.
I don't think so, but if someone posed a question, did you get the answer to the French question? Somebody asked about French.
Yes.
Okay.
So I said you do have to optimize for French and English.
Yeah, true.
Mm-hmm. And like I said earlier, I understand SEO can be confusing because it's not like social media where you design a post and you put it out and you see it and you see all the likes and the comments. It's something that you're doing behind the scenes. You're making technical changes to your website, but you're doing it for Google and for consumers. So it is a bit more of a learning process. And like Carrie said, she's recorded this presentation so everybody has the information. And if you're still lost and unsure where to go, contact us and we can definitely review your website and kind of give you some feedback as well.
And sorry, Melissa Amaro mentioned that she does not have Google and she wants it. So I did mention, like in the recording, you tell them where to go to the analytics.google.com so she can register on there and then implement that into her website. And I believe Tina was asking if she had Google on her website, and I did respond in the chat to just say it wasn't authenticated yet. So she has to do that through Google Analytics, same thing, analytics.google.com. And then she can go through her settings. I think she used Monster or something for the website builder.
Yeah, and the reason I didn't give everybody how to add analytics to your website, because it all depends on how your website's built, is how you add the code in. Most websites give you just a spot to drop the code in. WordPress is one where you have to add it directly in the code. So most of them are pretty easy.
Yeah. And then people are asking questions. So Kathy is wondering, she's saying, I'm being deceitful using the word hotel in my search words for my B&B. I've temporarily closed and I still get close to 10,000 hits per month, even though I have posted it closed for now.
Sorry, what was the question of that?
I'm not sure. Maybe she's wondering if she should use something. Kathy, did you want to, feel free to hop on and ask your question.
So I had somebody else doing all the computer setup and everything for me. And she used hotel for a number of times, different versions of hotel for the search words. And everybody clicks on hotel and types in hotel and thinks hotel. And so I get a lot of hits for my bed and breakfast, which is not a hotel. Is that technically wrong?
I would look and see if a bunch of people are clicking to your website and then leaving instantly, like what's your bounce rate for those pages. But typically as a consumer, I don't, like if I'm looking for somewhere to stay, I might type in hotel, but I might like book something through an Airbnb or a bed and breakfast. Like I think people, as long as you're very transparent in your content saying like, we're not a hotel, but we are a bed and breakfast, but you know what, your stay is going to be better than a hotel because you get personalized service and all of these different things, then you're not lying to them saying, hey, we're a hotel, and they show up and it's a bed and breakfast. So using the keywords is okay. It's just making sure that your content still reflects your actual services.
Okay. And will I get penalized when I do reopen in a different location because I've had closed? Somebody, whoever did it, I'm sure she set it up right, but it's closed for now until and relocated to. People just keep hitting on it and so am I going to get penalized when I finally do reopen and Google says, wait a minute, you've been closed all this time? How is that going to impact me? Do you know?
Well, people are still coming to your website, and I think it's going to be totally fine. It's understandable. Every business is kind of going through a similar version of that. People are still going to search for those businesses, just making sure that you update your Google My Business listing and your location information on your website when you do reopen in that new location. And then just making sure you have something on your website that says, hey, we've relocated. We were originally here, now we're here, so that people know.
Perfect. Thank you.
Just pop in a little suggestion as well. I know one of you had mentioned the value of having a blog attached to your website. And if you have that, you can actually be adding value to people who come to your website. So maybe you are closed, but you can still add value if they come to your website. It could be, here's 10 ways to escape your everyday without leaving your own home. Or, you can add value in very creative ways so that people don't leave immediately when they see you're closed, because you are offering value. So think about ways that you can, through a blog or YouTube channel that's linked to your website or something, continually add value, even when you're not open. And I think that might make a difference for your SEO results as well. Jules, I just wanted to not overlook that Denise had a question as well.
Yeah, I saw that I skipped her.
Oh, no, all good. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah. So I just wanted to ask, is there a way of targeting your target market search terms if they're similar to what you're offering, but not what you're offering? So I'll explain this with an example. So we are a company that offers baby and toddler sensory classes. So our target market are new parents, let's say new moms. So we are kind of like a music class for simplicity. But I also know, as being a new mom, that you are also searching things like, breastfeeding support, or how to get your baby started on solids at the 5-6 month mark. Or maybe it's, oh, your baby has a tongue tie or lip tie in those early days and they're not feeding properly. So you're looking up specialists in your city for tongue tie fixing. So knowing that about your target market, is there a way of like grabbing those search terms and putting them kind of in a hidden way on your website so that they may be looking for something and then they're seeing, oh, Lowland, well, what's this?
I wouldn't say hidden. I'd say do it in a blog, because
Okay.
now you're becoming the authoritative source of information and the most trustworthy, because you're providing them information on everything about being a mom and a parent. And then when it comes down to it, then they're going to say, okay, this is a blog that I need to subscribe to. I'm getting so much information, because it's overwhelming being a new parent. But then also they're like, well, what other services do they offer? Like, what else can I consume from you? And then they'll go to your services and see what they can sign up for. So I would say a blog would be phenomenal for you.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
And then making sure in the blog at the bottom, you're saying something about a service or something they can book with you, so that they know, like, you are giving them priceless information, but you're also offering services that'll be beneficial. And then making sure you're doing content on the benefits of the services you offer as well.
Thanks.
I think the next person that asked a question is Erica. She said, when we're on the topic of blogs, I have a blog that I had been posting in WordPress, but since then have created a different website. Is there an easy way to link the two?
If your blog's on WordPress, I believe you can kind of embed it within your website so that you have that option of having them separate. But I would also look at bringing them under one URL and one website. I know it's a lot of work if you have a lot of blog topics, but it'll just bring your domain authority up and not split your traffic between two separate websites. And then you're not competing with yourself for ranking as well. It might be a little bit of work to export all your blogs and import it into your website, but long term, it will be beneficial.
And sorry, I skipped someone else too. Yes, I agree. I think like the less redirecting you're doing, the better, because you want your domain to rank the highest and get the most clicks rather than redirecting to other links or other blogs. Michelle was asking about SEO info on YouTube and if it works similarly or differently, and the effects.
Yep. So SEO is something that not only you need to consider for your website, but consider it for social, YouTube, Pinterest, everything. Anytime you're uploading content to YouTube, when you're creating your title, your description, adding the keywords, making sure you're following the same kind of process as you would add keywords to your website. Pinterest, again, super beneficial to make sure the description and the title are keyword based. And when it comes to social, for Instagram, for example, making sure some of those keywords are worked into your hashtags, because people are now using social platforms like YouTube and Pinterest and social media as search engines. So making sure that if I'm searching up a hashtag for scrunchies, that you can potentially show up.
Are there any other questions before we wrap for today?
We also want to do a group
Go
picture.
ahead. Sorry, Kat, what did you say?
I said we also want to take a group picture.
Oh, okay. Maybe we should do that because I know there's some folks that are dropping off the call.
Perfect. Let's do that.
So if you want to bring yourself off of invisible, it's up to you.
Jules, are you going to take it?
Oh, sure.
So it's like, who's taking the picture?
I was going to upload the PDF too, because I was like,
Oh, you're all looking good. Thanks so much for sharing your faces. We love to see humans. High fives, everybody. High fives. So nice to see
okay,
you.
1, 2, 3. And I have to do it a few times because we have 4 pages. So
Yeah.
you don't know what page you're on. So everyone has to smile every time.
Yeah.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Oh, I was doing that with my thing.
Oh,
on.
without your camera. Put your Sipo, put your camera
I
on.
was trying to do it, but I don't know. My camera disappeared.
Okay, who was that was talking?
That's
Sorry.
Sipo. She said it disappeared. Don't worry about it.
If
We'll have to.
she wants to come on, I can take another one.
No, she said she disappeared.
Okay.
Now you're on mute, girl.
Okay, I
so
did it.
computer illiterate, so I don't even know how to do this.
The other people are not on camera, so I got both the pictures.
And can I just throw something in, guys? I know I put a note in there. I know. Oh, there you are, Sipo.
Yeah,
I know it can be overwhelming, this topic, but remember, these ladies are the experts, and what they've given you is an overview. And I mean, they wouldn't be in business if they didn't know some amazing stuff that they sell to the world, right? So do follow up with them, whether it's just for a consultation or to get a resource. I know they have a resource that they have to share with you. So Kat or Jules, if you want to put your emails again into the in the chat as we're leaving here shortly. But do follow up. This is something, I mean, everyone's been pivoting to e-commerce and online more than ever. This matters. If there's something that's going to help move the dial, I truly believe that SEO and understanding even the gist of it. And the other thing is empower yourself. Go into the dashboard of your own website, and you might be amazed when you start to see stuff. Oh, that's what they talked about. Oh, let me go back to the video. There it is. You know, this seems overwhelming at times, but it is doable, and it's very important to do as well. So do you have something to add, Jules or Kat? If not, I will I'll wrap it up.
No, I think follow us along, join our email list, and if you want us to check anything out or you have any questions, then feel free to reach out. We want to support all of you and appreciate you joining, and especially an SEO workshop, because it can be very full of information and less exciting, but I think Kat did an amazing job. So thank you.
Amazing job. Well done. Well done. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day. If you're in Ontario, take care. Hang in there, mamas who are doing virtual homeschooling. And we're in this together. We hope to see you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.